I am so happy you're back. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm Adam Pears. This is my podcast, The Pear Naked Truth. Now watch me get dressed. In case you forgot, you are my special friend. It's just you and me together. And I got this idea because there were of a special friend. Because there's throughout my life, there have been so many people. Some of them I don't even know their names, but it's just a girl at Walgreens that listens to my business and gives really sound advice. And we have this relationship that wouldn't survive out of this specific context, but in that context, that this girl is everything. And I can tell her everything because she's not invested in any sort of way. And I have relied on this idea of a special friend throughout my life because there have been so many times that I didn't have anyone that I could really count on or be completely vulnerable with. And so that's who you are to me. And I am your new close friend. We're close friend. I'm gay, autistic. I've worked in tech and did all these things. But before that, I was a bald-headed hoe out in these streets and had to pull myself out of a lot of crazy situations. And so today, I wanted to talk about dating. I don't even know. I'm talking with you about dating. See, always at the beginning, I want to give you a show, but then this is just a conversation. We're just talking. And anyway, let me tell you about this is the worst date that I've ever been on. This is in San Francisco. I can't even remember this man's name. But I was new in San Francisco. This is summertime, and he's this French Canadian, handsome guy that I was supposed to be meeting at the Twitter building at the time. So I had just moved to San Francisco. I had a mattress in my apartment. It was a nice apartment, but it was completely empty and echo. This is important later. The echoes in this apartment were insane because there was absolutely nothing in there. And had a huge marble bathroom. Again, very the acoustics you could hear from the front door if you were singing or when I'm singing in the shower. So anyway, just got to San Francisco and excited about this date. He seems, great, and I'm meeting him at this wine bar in the Twitter building. So first, he insisted on going or meeting during rush hour, which was annoying. So it's why of all of the times, why are we meeting at 6 p.m.? But he's like, oh, there's a happy hour. I'm like, okay, fine. Even though I'm not a really big drinker, I was like, okay, whatever, we'll go, or I'll go. I always think of we because it's when I'm talking to myself because one of the things about my autism, I don't know what I look like. If I'm not looking in the mirror, I have no sense of kind of who I am. So there's the me that I see, my body and my brain are just completely separated. And so anyway, so I usually talk about myself as we. It's okay, we can do this. So I'm going to the Twitter building and this place is packed. So I didn't really want to be there. It's because who has a date in a grocery store? Because that's really what it is. Wine bar, it's like a grocery store in the back. And during rush hour, so there are many parts of this that were signals that maybe not. One, if you're cutting coupons on a date, that's not something that I found really attractive or sexy. So this already, I was just okay, this is annoying. It's rush hour. I'm going down. Anyway, so I'm here. This place is packed. There isn't a place in the restaurant for me to sit. And then of course my phone has no reception inside. So I told him what time. I said what I was going to be wearing before I went in. And though I see him, but he's next to three girls and just laughing. He looks already visibly drunk and just carrying on. So I walked past three times slowly because I was oh, he should be looking for me. But he didn't. And so now I'm highly irritated because I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like rearrange the furniture of this place so I can sit next to this like gaggle of women that you have on a date for some reason? It's like the onus was too heavy on me for this moment. And so I was just like, I have better things to do with my time if for this guy that isn't even looking for me. So I left. And I was like, I'm gonna go sign up for the gym because the Fitness SF is like close downtown as well. So I'm just walking about my day, and then I start getting these phone calls, and it's this guy, and he's just like, "Hey, where are you?" Oh, I left because like it seems like maybe you were busy, and then he starts getting all of these text messages that I had sent him before because I had like sent him these messages before kind of saying I'm leaving and it seems like you're occupied or like whatever. So he's on the phone with me while my messages are coming through and he's like, "Oh, were you here and then you left?" And then that I felt immediately embarrassed. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, was I being a diva? Was this is like a little dramatic of me like leaving?" And so I was like, I guess sorry, it was a miscommunication. Like then why don't we go meet at the bowling alley because they have really great club sandwiches. And he's like, okay, like fine. So then I decide to like go. I meet him at the bowling alley, and he has a bike, so he's biking across town. And he's like, well, I have to get my bike. I'm like, okay, sure. So comes to the bowling alley, and we're walking along. And first he starts asking me like, what do I do? And I tell him, I'm in tech and my friends like work at Google. Goes on this tirade, like anti-tech tirade about how he thinks people that work at Google are like the awful people and how could they like work for this type of corporation. I was like, sir, if I just told you the most important people in my life work at Google, why are you going on this rant right now and you still want to have sex with me? Like this makes no sense. So he's going on and on. He's French Canadian and they have a reputation that they've earned. I won't go into that right now, but they earned that reputation. So we go in there to the bar, and I have my club sandwich because I told you I'm very particular, and they have very good club sandwiches. So he's going on and on, telling me it's like some nonsense. It was just like self-aggrandizing, whatever. And then he pops a pepper. It was like a whole jalapeno pepper, puts it in his mouth and like swallows it, and then starts screaming and crying at the table. And like I'm not exaggerating, he's like screaming. The waitress has to come over. She's giving him water, and she's like, "Well, maybe you need some milk." And so he's like still, hooting and hollering over there. It was just ridiculous and embarrassing, and I was like, okay, this is so dumb, but I want this date to be over. But I'm like, well, I made it this far, and I still felt kind of guilty. My house was only 2 blocks away. So we go to my house. He brings the bike, and this was like one of the rare instances where I was supposed to be topping. And while I was looking at like what he was eating, I was just like, why are you eating like this if you're supposed to be the one that's bottoming? Like that was confusing to me, and there were all of these bad decisions that he was displaying like through this date. I was just like, oh my gosh. So we finally get back to my room, and I was like, well, maybe I'll like inspect to see if like this is worthwhile. So I do like a quick check in the back. So this is where I get a little shy. So I try to make it sexy. So what you do, you make it sexy, but you massage the back and go between the cheeks enough that you can get any sort of you can get a sense for what's back there, and whether it's something that should be explored or passed, and so I like do my check, and I'm like, oh, absolutely not. Smells like a sanitation plant. Can't do that. So then I'm just like irritated now because it's 11 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, well, I have to get up really early for work. So why don't, I think we should just call it a night. And he says like, well, I have my bike here. And I'm like, okay. He's like, but it's nighttime and I have narcolepsy. I fall asleep, I'll fall asleep and I could get into an accident. And I was just like, well, why don't you call an Uber and you can put your bike in the back? And he's like, well, but I don't know. The Ubers are $60 and I don't think that I can do that right now. And he's going back and forth. And I was just like, well, I think you can figure it out. So then he's just stalling and not moving. And I said, if you can't figure anything else, I guess you can spend the night. And he goes, he's like, I don't want to put you out. And I was like, well, I've already stated that my preference is for you to leave, but you've said that you may die if you go home. So these are the two options that you've given me, is like your death, or that I have to suffer and put up with you staying the night, you know? And he's just like, oh, thank you so much. Like, throws his stuff down. Uh, so I get in the shower and I'm just trying to like decompress and be like, okay, fine, it's fine. It's fine. We'll do, and maybe it can be like cute. And then I like have to get him to shower because he wasn't going to. And again, I was just like, I smelled back there. Like, sir, what are you doing? What are you doing? So anyway, he showers before me, then I shower. By the time I come back, he's asleep. Like sleep. Because I thought maybe we could get into like sexy time. No. He's over there, and I was just like, whatever. So I go to sleep, turn off the lights, and then in the night, like there's this, the covers are like off of me. So I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, you fucking bitch, screaming at the top of his lungs and like thrashing around the bed. And I like get up and I turn the lights on and I realize that he's sleeping and having like night terrors. And so then I like have to like creep over to him again, thrashing around. And then I just like shake him like hard, just like hard shaking. And he wakes up and he's like, what's going on? I was like, you're screaming in your sleep. And he's like, oh, I have night terrors sometimes. And I was just like, well, don't do that. He's like, oh, sorry about that. And it's like 4:30 in the morning now. I have to be up at 8, or like 7:30. And so then I go like back to sleep, or I'm trying to go back to sleep. He goes dead asleep in seconds. So he's passed out over there. I'm still trying to shake off like, who did I let in my house? Who is in my house right now? So I finally fall back asleep, and then it starts again. And he's like, get out of here. Stop it. Thrashing around. And now it's like 5:30 in the morning, and I couldn't go back to. I woke him up again, and again he's like, "Oh, what's?" Looking at me like I'm interrupting him, and I'm just like, "You, I don't know if you can stay if you keep doing this." And he's like, "I'm fine," and I can't. It's still dark outside. So I couldn't go back to sleep. I was just sitting there waiting for the sun to come up so I could be like, "Okay, you gotta go." So then the sun like starts to come up, and I like fake sleep. So I go back to sleep because I'm like, okay, if he has any sort of dignity, he'll just leave, he'll just like get his stuff and leave. So I'm fake sleeping. The sun, it just came up. It's like 6 a.m. He goes to the bathroom, and it blows it up. You can hear the echoing throughout my house, because it's the pepper from the night before is just like wreaking its revenge, unleashing its revenge on my home. And all of this is happening, just the most undignified sounds, just bellowing out of that bathroom. Then this man comes out and gets back in bed, and then that's when I like lost it. I was like, okay, you gotta go. You have to go. And I like walk him out, and he has his bike now, and it's like 6 a.m., because it's summertime. And then at the door, he's like, "You're probably gonna be mad at me today." Well, I had a nice time, and I was like, and shut the door. So I told you like a horrible experience, but out of this, there are so many things that are related to any sort of dating interaction or experience, whoever you are. And one is like setting ambiance and controlling for it is like what I do. And this, it's 5 parts. Lighting. I have my notes here. Sorry, I'm trying to make all of this, understandable for people that are like maybe not looking at me. And anyway, I can ramble sometimes too. So bear with me. 5 things. 1, lighting. 2, sounds. 3, textures. 4, smells. And 5 is like mental peace / third-party tomfoolery. Those are the 5 things. These things are what you need to, as a host, if you're hosting someone, you should be controlling for. What's the lighting look like? I don't want to be fucking or like having sex and naked if it looks like I'm in Trader Joe's. I don't even shop at Trader Joe's because the lighting is so terrible. I like will not go in there. I won't ever, ever. If you see me in a Trader Joe's, I am under duress. So don't even come up and say hi to me because I can't even process it. So one, the lighting. Two, sounds. Sounds, what sounds like maybe that your body's making? What sounds if your TV's on? I don't want to have sex to the Home Shopping Network or like the TV Guide channel. Like those type of things are not sexy and are so distracting. So it's like, what are these things that you're controlling for? Three, textures. One, your skin. Your skin should be soft and moisturized. Even if you aren't, if your hands are rough, then nobody wants you to inserting those rough calluses into their body. It's like, oh, I thought that you liked fingering. It's like, well, not with sandpaper, sir. So put mittens on or do something over there. So yes, so textures for yourself, textures for your bedding. If your bed sheets are scratchy, then that's distracting. And unless you are really blowing me away, I'm distracted by the scratchy sheets. This guy, also named Adam, was a dentist and had the dirtiest home I think I've ever seen. He every time I would go over there, there would be at least like three puppy pee pads that were dirty with. So they were dirty, dirty pee pads. The dishes in the sink were stacked up. It looked like it had been there for weeks. And every time I would go in, and I felt like I was walking into like a hoarder house or some sort of trap house situation. And every time I would be like, oh, why? How low, Adam? Are there standards? And at that point, I was still trying to establish my standards. Anyway, so these are the things that people don't enjoy being in your space if you can't control and do these things. You know what? I'm going to talk about like good dating and bad dating, and there's so many. There are 5 points there. I just want to focus on one right now, and that's like mental peace. And if you can give people mental peace, your date is going to be successful. That if you are not entering or like introducing some type of chaos and a conflict or self-doubt, if you can alleviate those things, your date is most likely going to be a success. If someone is stressed and you can offer some sort of solace that isn't solving problems, but just it could just be as easy as a presence that is easy to be around. And if someone's anxious or worried about plans not going right, of being able to step in and calm them down and say, it's all right. It's okay. We got this. Let's like do something else. It's not a big deal. Those have been the best dates and people. Well, no, not people, because and we'll get into that is like when you're dating, you'll learn the archetypes of men. They're like archetypes of men that you have to just watch out for. And once you've been around a few times, like, oh, this is vampire. this one's the vampire. This one is the king fuck boy. Anyway, so you'll get those. So don't be like swooped away if someone is like, oh, they're peace and I feel like so self-assured and reassured with them. That's a good step. It's a good indicator that this may be somebody worth investing in, but a lot of times not. But anyway, I feel like I just contradicted myself. Let's anchor this with a story. So I'll set the scene. And I had no business dating at this time too, so you'll understand that. So there was a time period right before. So I'd been to Cornell, left, came back, then had to leave again. So I'm at like height of my eating disorder. Craziness is happening. I'm about to be checked into inpatient in Wisconsin because I was there for 90 days. And so this is like a time period where I had like left school. I was waiting to get the insurance authorization to go into one of the few men's eating disorder treatment centers. And so this was the time where I was going on these dates. passing out in public all the time from not eating, and calculating. I was living life on a thread at that point. So anyway, met this guy. He went to the Naval Academy. His name was Matt, and kind of like stocky, shorter. I was like, I don't know. I don't usually go for short guys, but like, let's take a whirl. And he was like so thoughtful, opened the door for me, uh, the car door, and I was just like, oh, I like this. Took me to his favorite spot. We got ice cream. It was freezing outside, but I didn't care. And then he was like, oh, let me show you my favorite spot. So we get in his Jeep and drive over. And this is November. This is like late November. So like the air's crisp, but it's like not too cold. And we go to the top of the Kennedy Center where there's a balcony, and the Kennedy Center itself is beautiful. The whole thing is made out of stone, and there's a terrace that wraps around the whole building. And so it overlooks the Potomac, and you can see all of the monuments and the trees, and the vapor, coming from my like lips and body. It was just like a very like sexy time. But of course I was in like a t-shirt and didn't have a jacket for some reason. I think because I wanted him to be able to see my butt, and then like didn't forgot about it being cold outside. But then he gave me his jacket, and like we held hands, and then he pulled me in tight for like from my waist and kissed me. And it was just like one of the most romantic like moments that I had ever had. Then I wasn't gonna tell another story, but this has to be the most romantic story and date that I've ever been on. And it didn't work out with this guy. So he was French. See, this is different than French Canadians. French Canadians have a reputation that they earned. The French are romantic and love the French. Uh, that's why my theme song is French, but that's a story for another day. When we actually talk about Paris and the first time that I went to France. Anyway, so met this guy, and he wanted the first date to be at the museum, which fine. I love art, but I need to go to a museum that I care about, and it has to be like of some interest. I don't just take me there and then we're wandering around seeing what's there. Anyway, but this was one of the actually good times. So see, that's me being like negative when I actually enjoyed that. So there are like some interesting things. Anyway, let me fast forward. So we're going around, and then we go into this observatory. It's this room of sounds and video, and so there's projector screens all over the room, and there's a maze. So you have to like, go through the exhibit, and uh, what they're doing is that they're playing a song, and there's a different instrument in each screen, and this screens are somewhere in this house. So wherever this was shot, they're recreating the atmosphere of the house within this exhibit. So there's someone in the bathtub playing a guitar. There's someone in the kitchen with a violin. There are like drums someplace else, and I think he was naked on screen. It was like kind of a cool like interactive place. And so the music's going, the music's going, and we're walking through, and he like grabs my hand, and we're like walking through. Then he pulls me in with him, and we start dancing, and so we're like dancing around they were just like back and forth. Like I thought I was like over in the corner, and just like vibing, and he like did a spin, and I was like laughing and smiling, and then the music stopped. And when I looked around, everybody in this exhibit had formed a circle around us and started clapping. They were clapping, and there was like two people were crying, and they're like, that was the most romantic thing I've ever seen. And I was just like, oh, well, and especially at this time, I was not a romantic. I was a hardcore cynic. But I was like blushing, and then he pulls me in and like does like a little dip, a kiss, and then he goes, score one for France. And I like think about that still. It was like a magic time. So when I think of like good dates, I think when you're able to create an experience where someone could be in the middle of a crowd and there nobody else exists, that it's just the two of you like sharing that moment together and their touch, and that you feel like there's no place else that they'd rather be. And that's what I like to create with people that I'm with, and show them that I'm present and invested in the moment. And there's certain things that you shouldn't do, in etiquette, like put your phone away. Your phone just should not be out. Nobody is that important. I have met plenty of important people. They did not have their phone out. So there's no excuse. There's nothing that's happening on your phone that you need to be on there. And if not, then if so, then step away, take care of it, and come back. But if it's this constant thing, no, it's a chop for me. So there's another aspect of dating. So and I don't really feel like getting like too heavy today, but it needs to be something that I'll just introduce and you can like sit. We need to start talking about, and I don't know if this is how it's something to be broadcast or it's like a self-reflection, but there are, well, no, maybe this isn't. Maybe it is something that people need to reflect on and go, is that everyone's coming from different backgrounds. I'm telling you a little bit about my family and when you come over sometimes, and that's a point of reference, and it's important, and it rears its head in interactions when you're dating. When of dating people from different backgrounds, there's friction that comes with that, and you have to know that you're signing up for it and be okay with it, and understand that there's a learning curve there, that there's a learning curve, and you have to accept that that's going to be there. This is true. I'm being very elusive right now because I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to talk about race," but you have to. Race is important, like or like it's a factor, like that's ignoring it does not make it like disappear. The socioeconomic differences, that is a factor that comes in, and if you ignore it, then it will be at your peril, because it will most likely impact you in some way, and you have to be fair and understand what it is. So that's either your tolerance for things going awry, or getting your feathers ruffled has to be built up. Like that's also something with dating, that if not, then you're going to really limit your world. That if you are so upset, and this is it, but again, within reason, within reason, I've had some people pull out race play uninvited. I'm not for that. Those are not things that you should tolerate. But white people are going to make missteps. If you're dealing with them just generally, you just have to know that it's going to happen, and not everything can be a hill that you die on. You just can't. You will exhaust yourself, and that is not your job. Even though it's funny because growing up, like it was my job to be an example for my entire race and to build them up as the top 10%. That this was a responsibility that I had, but it wasn't my responsibility to educate all white people. And those are two different things. One is like focused on me and how I conduct myself and like what I tolerate. I don't need to be everyone's historian. And there's just certain things that you're like, ugh, they mean well. Look at the intent behind things. People have to be okay to make a mistake. I think he wasn't a romantic date, but it was a friend that became like such a close friend, and we'd go on these friendship dates all the time in San Francisco. And he was the only one, and I know a lot of people may get upset when I say this, but when the Black Lives Matter movement was happening in 2020 and everything was going crazy, he was the only one that reached out to me. He was the only person that reached out directly, and we hadn't been very close, like up until that point. We were in like a larger group, and he was the only one, and said like, "Hey, I just want to like let you know that if I ever like say anything, like just like tell me and we can talk about it. Like if I do my best, but I'm not going to not nothing. I'm not going to be perfect, and I just wanted to let you know that that that's open and we can talk about that and I'm not going to be mad and we can discuss like how you feel openly with me. And it meant so much to me because he was someone who on the surface would be the farthest away from who would invite this type of of um of candor. And anyway, so that's an example of you can open yourself up to different experiences. Let people have to be able to make mistakes, and also understand with yourself that not everybody's going to get the best version of you every day, and that's okay. Anyway, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, this is going to be a little bit of a trial, and we're going to see how it goes. So, because there are multiple products here, I wanted to talk about hygiene because hygiene is like number one. Number one, if you remember the chapped lips, that may be my thing. Breath is like it's a number one also. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the toilet and butts because everybody has one. Welcome back. This is the part of the podcast. Let me slow down. This is the part of the podcast called Pair Necessities. This is where I show you my favorite things, and the things that I do every day and teach you the tips and tricks of how to put your best foot or butt forward. And so here we're going to talk about hygiene. We're just talking about dating. One of the worst things to encounter as a human on this earth, in my opinion, is when you can smell someone's back from the front. When you go down there and it's the special time, sexy time, and you can just, oh, it's one of the most horrendous things to happen. And once it does, I can't get it out of my mind. There was this like awful situation at Nordstrom a couple weeks ago where this man first had sticky hands. I have been upset about this for 3 weeks after. His hands were sticky and he was wearing these leather pants, but his hygiene wasn't great. So I would get these like whiffs of like terrible smells, like mixed with like whatever the coating of the leather was. And now that's like a scent that is imprinted in my brain. And when I smell it anywhere else, I think of this man. It's just awful. Like, why would you do that to someone? And anyway, so part of that of dating and putting yourself out there is like, make sure that your house is clean, your metaphorical house, meaning your body. And so here, I wanted to talk about the tips and tricks that I've learned. So Tyra Banks taught me the only way that you should be pooping in public. What she does, because she revealed that she was a hyper wiper, which is someone that wipes to the extent that sometimes there's blood because they're wiping so hard, and especially in public settings. And so what you should be doing there, oh, I didn't bring the paper towel for, there's so many things here. I'm going to put them on. I'm going to talk about them and walk you through, and then I'll just like show the things that I have here for you. But anyway, so when you're in that situation, what you should do is go get a paper towel, wet the paper towel and take it in with you to the bathroom. And every time you go to the bathroom, you should be using some type of water to make sure that it's clean down there. And don't stay on the toilet. So this is a little bit of a detour and for something for another episode, but I had to have a hemorrhoid surgery that was, I had to have my hole reinstalled, $100,000, but a lot of that had to do with sitting on the toilet and scrolling or doing things for too long. Like the pressure that you put on your body there, plus with lifting, can cause internal hemorrhoids and a whole lot of problems for yourself. So that's a separate PSA, but let's get back to like the cleanliness. So anyway, if public bathrooms, if you're there, wet paper towel, take it in with you, wet the toilet paper and clean it up like that. I have these really great compressed towels in the summertime that I use, not for the bathroom, but overall hygiene and freshening up if I think I may go on a date. So the things that should be in your arsenal anyway. So one, water bottle. If you're out in public, get a water bottle. I was looking for a sport bottle because those are great because you can squeeze, and in a pinch, they could be used for douching. But you don't want to use an alkaline. If you have a high alkaline, that can actually make your body odor smell worse, or like more intensify anything. So if you do get like a high alkaline water, make sure that you're pouring it out before you wash up, because it's just going to do the reverse. Anyway, so those are the kind of the things like if you're out in public and need something. These are my favorites for when you're at home. So I was in a fight with one of my friends, or like debate around whether toilet paper should be soft or like strong. And I was always more of the strong than soft. And then like lately I switched, but it's a little annoying because when you wet it, it can like leave these things behind, like balls of paper. So these are the two. It's yes. So strong, ultra strong and ultra soft. The ultra strong one I love because so what you'll do, and I'm just opening. I see. I didn't want to ruin the packaging before, and excuse me for the people listening, uh, with that plastic. Anyway, so let me put those down. And oops, oh, this is what a mess. And for you may be watching and being like, why, Adam, are you telling people how to wipe their butts? Like everybody knows. Not everybody knows. I would say there's a large plurality of people that do not know how. Or when they go over, they use too much toilet paper and clog the toilet. That is like, you should not be clogging toilets. You shouldn't be. And if you're doing too much, I had someone that was I saw them and they were doing one of these. You should not be making a mitten to wipe your butt. No, no. That it's bad for the plumbing. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for you. There's no. So one, what you should be doing is using a strong, the quality toilet paper. Do not put one ply in your home. I had a friend who was doing that because he had I don't know, he just hadn't thought about it. It was just like so upsetting. And I had talked to everybody in my life and I was like, should I tell him? I don't want to be rude, but I think he needs to know. And he's like such a considerate person. I don't know why he would do that. It's say that you don't care about yourself or your guest, that you saving $2 on this is more important than someone going to second base on every date when they go to the bathroom, that you just shouldn't have to do that of like ripping through the toilet paper and fingering themselves. How dare you? Like that's like so inconsiderate as a host, and you shouldn't be living your life like that. So let's go back to this. So one, it's a thick toilet paper. You don't need a whole lot. You can take, this is probably even too much, but you fold it like so. And because this is strong, you can wet it on like underneath the sink. This is when you're in the bathroom at home, and if you don't have a bidet, and then you wipe, and you do that until it's clean, until nothing is coming back and there's no feedback on the paper. This is like what you should be doing, Anyway, so this is one that's really great. It's great if you don't wet it. If you do, it's also something that you can use to fix makeup or apply. Putting it and with the hard one, it doesn't leave the lint that some of the other soft ones do. And it also is really great for your skin. Anyway, love these two brands, and I've tried all of them. And, yes, anyway, I won't get into that. I don't think that's necessary. So that's like the basic thing. Then the washing your butt. Tops, or like everyone should be washing their butt. If you have a butt, you should be washing it. And that doesn't mean spreading your cheeks so the water runs through. That's not bathing. Okay. You do whatever you want on your legs. I know that not everybody washes their legs. You should be, but even if you aren't, you wash your butt. So one, start with a white cloth. And because there's so many scams going on, I'm not a white cloth household, so there's so many things that I spend money on. The towels are not one of them. I bleach the hell out of them, and with all of the self tanner and everything else that's on them, I can never keep towels white. So I don't spend a lot of money on those, and that's great because then you can just throw them away and get more. So you want this because the dead skin carries bacteria and smells. So you might think that you're clean, but if there's dead skin around the whole area, it's not good. So wet the towel and soap. So I've been going through practice, like trying different types of soap recently, and I discovered because I'm looking for like kind of cleaner products that are better for me, the environment, and everything else. And so this magic soap, Rose, is great. I love the smell. And you can wash your dishes with this. You can wash brushes with this. You can wash the floors. You can wash your dog. It's so crazy. Wash vegetables. So I started like washing my vegetables with it. Love. And then you can also clean up with your hole as well. So I think it's self-explanatory, but oh no, I guess it's not. Okay, so wet it, soap, you're going to get it soapy, and you're not just going to go inside and work your way out. Okay. So again, inside, you go like the sphincter area, you're scrubbing, looking at the towel, going back, wetting it again, going back under there, and work out because the larger your butt is, the more surface area is exposed of when you're going to the bathroom. So a lot of rookie mistakes that people make is that they'll just clean in between the cheeks and think it's fine. But if though everything is down there, and since I'm trying not to be gross, but since will stay with you and it's still dirty. So you'll think that you're fine. If you're doing a whore bath, still need to wash the whole area. So that's like your entire butt and hips going around and then in between. And use a white cloth so you know that you're actually clean. And I think that's all that we need for there. So again, water bottles that you're carrying with you, towels, white towels. I'll have those in the link. It's scamlikely.com. I should have said that at the beginning, but all of my favorite things are at scamlikely.com. So I'll have like the soaps. I have different body soaps for different parts of the body, and so you're not over drying your skin. And pair necessities again, it's scamlikely.com. You'll have all of the things there. This is how you support the show, my special friend. This means so much to me, you being here hanging out and listening to me and just talk about life. And thank you so much. Like, subscribe, please, and leave comments. Leave good comments, okay? It makes a huge difference. And I put a lot of work into this. It may seem a little like chaotic, but my heart's in this, and it means so much to me. Thank you. I'm Adam Pears. This is the Pear Naked Truth, and come back soon.